Hey, my friends, can you believe it's Friday already? Randy, host of Building Wins Live. We got a good one today. We always have good ones, but this was going to be fun. My pal, my friend, my brother, mastermind friend, Sean Litvak. We're going to talk about his Litvak Leadership Live, and we're going to talk about work. We're going to talk about whatever pops in our head. We may even get a little bit of words of wisdom from Solomon, who is quite brilliant. So we ask about Solomon. If I forget to bring up Solomon, somebody type in Solomon. We need to talk about Solomon. So in a minute, don't go away. We'll be back with Sean. Thanks.
I love that graphic.
Is that good or what, huh?
I love that. I got to outsource it. I can get my own Litvak graphic. That's awesome.
That's all Wes Wyatt, our brother, our friend, our pal, and director producer, man. Wasn't me.
Wow. So how you doing, Randy?
I'm doing great. And what's really exciting is to think that, what was it? 3 weeks ago, we were actually together in Cincinnati live. I mean, shaking hands, bro hugging, sharing a drink or two. I mean, that was amazing, was it not?
That was a great day in Cincinnati.
It was.
And it was funny. One of my coworkers asked me, they go, so you just took 2 days off after the long weekend? What do you do? I'm like, I drove to Cincinnati and met some of my best friends in the world in person for the first time. And he was like, what does that mean? So I had to explain it to him a little bit, Welcome to Video Land and people encouraging you, and you actually meet them in person, and it was great.
It was awesome.
I had no idea Wes was so tall. I keep saying that.
Yes,
he's a giant.
He is a giant, and what's really funny is he when I stood next to him in one of the pictures. I mean, I'm not that big a guy, but holy man, was I small compared to him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Wes is like a Jolly Green Giant or something. I think that is he is. He is.
In one of the postings, he said he's like Shrek. So I think what we need to do is somehow get like the green face paint on him, and then put up the two pictures and see what we get out of that.
We should do that. We should do that at our meetup in Indianapolis if we're still having it. I think that would be awesome. Yeah. But
I think that'd be phenomenal.
There it is, right there. Look at that. Look at that. The guy's a giant.
He's huge. He's so tall.
Huge. He is. He's but and so for folks that don't know, and we talk about it on both our shows a lot, but it's funny because so Sean and I and our brother Wes, who is my producer director and a great friend of ours, and two others are part of a mastermind group, Megamind.
Yeah.
And we met at the start of this whole pandemic lockdown world-ending event that we had for 15, 16 months, right? And but the good news was we besides the fact of how much we learned from each other, we become, and a lot of people don't grasp this, but some of the best friendships came out of this. And none of us had met. You and I and Wes and Brian, you've maybe met Brian, maybe not, but Michelle, maybe not. So none of us that showed up at this show, other than Michelle and Brian, I think, had ever met personally. And it was like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the value of virtual and what it can bring to the table is that we met, and it was kind of like when you haven't seen a long lost friend for 20 years, and then you meet up one day, and it was like no time passed, right? It was like we'd known each other for 20 years, right? Am I wrong? Did I read that wrong?
Well, and it was like, the waitress asked us, she's like, oh, so, do you guys get together regularly? And we're like, well, on video we do. And she's like, huh?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
None of us really live here.
Yeah, I know. It was, it's an amazing thing, and it's been an amazing ride. But before we get too far, because we've already everybody's figured out you're Sean Litvak because Wes has got your name up there. But tell the folks that are going to watch live or watch on replay, who in the world is Sean Litvak?
So
give
Sean
us your
Litvak.
encapsulated version.
So the encapsulated version, Sean Litvak is a Chicagoan, well, Chicagoland area person who moved to Louisville, Kentucky with his wife way back when in 1992. Sean Litvak was raised as a Jew, considered going to rabbinic school, and then got saved and found Jesus Christ. And now I am active in our church. Sean Litvak has been in sales and operations in the janitorial industry his entire life. Sean Litvak sent a video the other day to some people that said, you know what I love about today? Cold calling on the phone, dialing for dollars, which I grew up in sales doing telemarketing. So I am fearless when it comes to talking to people, and I truly enjoy dialing the phone. And I'm a consummate optimist, motivator, and my personal credo is life is long. Just like there's that shop that says life is good. Yes, I do talk about myself in the third person. But life is long, which to me means just keep trucking on, just keep moving ahead, just keep doing it. Figure it out as you go. You will be a success. So I've never described myself like that before, but I think it's appropriate for this.
I love it. And I love that life is long, because I saw a post today that said something to the effect, and I don't even remember, I might have saved it, but that where it said life is short, and like a kid talking to his dad maybe, or something. I've been a lion cub talking to a lion, I don't know what it was, same idea. And so life is short, and he said, no, life is long, you need to live it. And not short. The whole message, I didn't get that very well, but the message was, whoops, not my light over here. You got to live life every day. There's a lot of life to live, and we got to get not tied up in stuff sometimes, right?
Well, I mean, and it's so easy to get tied up in stuff. I mean, last year I had started a brand new job after finding myself suddenly unemployed in November of 19. I went out, looked for a job. I've been in the janitorial industry forever and a day. And I ended up going to work at the Vanaken Group, a highly respected family-owned company that's been around since either 1968 or the 40s, depending upon how you measure the organization. But that's another conversation for another day. And after started January 7th of 2020, and then March 13th, we were locked down. Yeah. And, in the industry in which I'm in, there's non-competes. So you can't call on previous customers. And, I had to do what people said is the last thing you should do during a pandemic. And I was cold calling. So it was pretty interesting. I am so thankful that I enrolled in that Jeffrey Gitomer course, The New Normal. And then Eric Bam started Megamind, and that's how I got to know all of our group, including you, Randy.
Exactly. And an interesting thing you just talked about was picking the phone up. And our mutual friend that just popped up on the screen a minute ago, Mark Gasser. Mark, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, loves to pick his phone up on his show and talk about, you got to pick the phone up still, because we've all learned a lot of new tricks and a lot of new things in these last 15 months doing stuff like this today. You have your show, we'll talk about in a minute, but Litvak Leadership Live that comes up directly after this show at 4:00. So folks, if you like Sean, check him out at 4:00, Litvak Leadership Live. Great show, great guest.
And if you don't like me, come see the show anyways, because you'll like Eric Bam.
This is true. And Eric might even buy you a pizza if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But or tell you where to get one. But it's easy to, as we get wrapped up in all the new things that a lot of us have learned and have grasped to help ourselves be better, to augment our road warrior thing. Because one of the things that I talk about a lot is I like to talk about and consider myself the a major road warrior. I mean, that's what I've done my whole life, right? I pound the road. I've learned ways to augment that with virtual, right? Um,
Right.
but we never want to forget that like I'll do a Mark Gasser. Never forget to pick the phone up, because that's still that is still number one in my mind. With all the stuff we do, I send text, we send visual text, or we do all these things, right? But you still got to pick the phone up and, just like you said, cold call the guy and say, hey, what's the opportunities here? Let's chat for a while, right?
Well, and the thing is, yes, there can be a cold call, but if one is leveraging technology properly, there's really never a cold call.
Right.
It happens like this much. I mean, I've spent the last 2 days dialing for dollars, old fashioned phrase, because I'm headed down into Alabama next week, and I am going to an association meeting, but I'm going early so I can book some appointments. And after dialing the phone for two days, I booked some appointments to go see people, and these were people that I've never spoken to before, ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm connected to them on LinkedIn. I'm in an association
Right.
that they're a part of that ended up getting shut down during the pandemic, that had a couple videos. So when I called them up, first thing I said, you don't know me, but we're first level connections on LinkedIn. We're both in the International Facility Management Association. I'm coming to town for the meeting. I just like to talk to you for 20 minutes and introduce myself. And if we can do business, great. And if we can't, I can tell you some things to help you. And each time I heard, okay, that makes sense.
Sure. Right.
But I had
Exactly.
to dial the phone to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the phone still comes into play, is making that personal call. And I think we're maybe, as I listen to you say that, we might have a little honeymoon period here of being able to even be more energetic, if that's the word, of going after making those phone calls, because as we come out of the last 15 months or so, there's a whole lot of people that, guys like us that haven't got to travel as much.
Yeah.
But also equally, the buyers or the people that we would call on haven't seen anybody either.
Anybody.
They've been sitting at home or in their office by themselves,
Video.
watching video. That's all they've been doing. And so I think there's going to be a honeymoon period where, yeah, I mean, if there's even a slight bit of interest, I'd love somebody to come in and talk to me, right? I mean, we could take advantage of that for a while.
And what I tell people all the time, and I give Bryn Tillman credit for this, because I heard her say it: give everything away, give away all your knowledge, tell everybody how to do everything, give your experience away, and they'll eventually buy from you. Now, she may not have phrased it like that, but she's just consistently saying, on your LinkedIn profile, show people how to do things, post videos giving away information. You set yourself up to be the industry subject matter expert. And really, there's no big secret about anything that we do. I mean, Randy, you are a distributor, a manufacturer's rep of everything having to do with metal roofs, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And others, but yes.
So I'm sure there's some new technologies, but those new technologies are all on the foundation of old knowledge that everyone doesn't have. So, I mean, it's the same thing in my industry.
Right. There is, if you hit that moment in time in your sales career where you have something massively unique that nobody has, boy, that's a fun time. But generally speaking, as you just said, one of the products that I sell is fasteners to put metal roofing down. Big part of what I do. And I have all these little benefits and features and all the dog and pony show. I can do it as good as anybody. But at the end of the day, it's the same as everybody else's, right? I mean, it performs the same duty at the end of the day, right? So once you get past all of the dog and pony show stuff that you might do, it all comes back to who do they want to deal with, right? And that's where we need to spend our time is getting people to understand that. I think I want to deal with Sean Litvak when it comes to janitorial services, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and you know, I refer to my customers as friends because
Exactly.
although operations takes over, it is up to me still because to continue the relationship,
Right.
continue talking to them. Um, and you know, everybody knows somebody. And frankly, I promised people that the service would go a certain way. And although operations takes care of it and backs up my word, I still like to be involved somewhat because
Right.
I want people to say, yes, Sean, it's exactly like you said it would be. Or, Sean, it's even better than you said it would be. You've got to keep those relationships alive.
Exactly. So janitorial services, uh, you're in the big boy world of that. I mean, you're talking something. I know we've talked on some of our meetups on our Megamind group and that. You tell us a little bit about what you do. What's Banaka Group do? What's Sean do? What's that look
Sure.
like? And then I'd also like to chat about maybe where the last 15 months took you to where we are today. Because I mean, that had to change that whole
It
realm
has.
of things drastically, right?
Sure. Sure. So there's really, you know, three different types of janitorial companies out there. There's your local mom and pop, you know, that services a certain town, you know, like, you know, Naples Janitorial in Naples, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
if there is such a company, and I'm sure there is. And then you've got your regional players, like my employer, the Vanaken Group, where we cover a 12-state area. And then there's the national players that, you know, claim to be everywhere and can be everything to everybody. And there are definite differences between the national players, the regional players, and the local players. Where at the local players, the owner is going to be out doing a lot of the cleaning. Okay, pretty, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they may grow to a certain point, but there is a lot of hands-on involvement. But then when you get to the regional players, you have it's still hands-on, but the owner's not out there cleaning. The managers shouldn't be out there cleaning. There should be robust training programs, robust hiring and inspection and tracking of data. And then you get to the national organizations that say they can do everything for everyone, but half the time they're subcontracting. So, how much control are they going to have over a subcontractor? That is a question, not a statement. I'm sure they'll tell you they have all kinds of control, and you can talk to them about that. Our organization self performs 99.8%, 99.95% of all of the sites that we provide work in. So we clean
Okay.
in manufacturing facilities, office spaces. It's really a lot of manufacturing and office, but you know, there's airports, there's public facilities, there's fulfillment centers, logistics centers, hospitals, surgery centers, and what the past 15 months has been like is that it's a whole lot of okay, what do we do now? Whereas before you would disinfect in the restroom and that was it. Well, now you're disinfecting everywhere. Now people are starting to pull back from that. And you know, I have my own opinions as to whether we should be pulling back, we shouldn't be pulling back. But there is a huge opportunity that if facility managers are not talking to industry experts about how to ensure that their staff, when they return to the office, are not only physically safe, but emotionally safe too. You know, as my friend John Barrett, the executive director of ISSA, the largest janitorial association in the world, says, the value of clean has never been greater. And
Uh,
it's true, and it's a matter of educating the end user and letting them make their own decision as to what they want. I don't tell people you need to do this. I tell people if you want this, then this is how it's done. But if you don't want this really, well, then we can do this. and you'll get these results. I mean, I'm sure it's the same thing in your industry. There's various levels of fasteners, and some hold better than
Hmm.
others.
Yes, yes, exactly. So you hit on something that was interesting, and I never thought about this, but I thought it was a great point. Is the safety that they feel physically, but emotionally. Drill down on that a little bit because that's interesting to me. It makes sense to me when you say it, but I would have never thought of it on my own.
So, you know, I mean, I've worked in sales, operations, sales leadership, operations leadership, and executive leadership, all within the janitorial industry. Currently, I am in a producer role as a vice president of business development, where I can leverage all of my years of experience in both sales and operations leadership to put together programs that will give people the outcomes that they want. And the number one outcome that I personally think is most important now is the mental and emotional well-being of individuals as they head back into the office. And let me explain to you what I mean is that
Okay.
we have heard in the industry for years, well, I don't know if people are really vacuuming. How do we know they're really cleaning the bathroom? It's all done at night. We don't see it being done. We're just
Right.
trusting people. Oh, they found a cleaner sleeping in the closet. Well, yeah, and you probably found a vice president of your company sleeping in a closet during the day too at some point, but nobody talks about that. So,
Right.
it's a matter of the cleaning industry is shifting. I think there's going to be a whole lot more day cleaning. I think there are going to where people can see you actually performing the work that will give people a mental and
Hmm.
emotional well-being. If the bulk of the work is still done at night, I see the day porter staff or the day staff growing. So people see that cleaning occurring during the day. And I see more partnership between the stakeholders, whether it's the stakeholder of the building or the stakeholder of their desk, with the cleaning company to ensure that everyone understands what is being done. The dirty secret in the janitor dirty secret, that's funny. In the
That's a good
janitorial
pun.
and facility management industry is that there's a scope of work. And the facility managers have not necessarily shared that scope of work with the people sitting at the desk. I say give it to everybody. Put it on your share drive. Let everyone know what the expectation is, that no, their desk is not going to be wiped every day because it only calls for fingerprinting or it calls for dusting monthly. Where I'm not going to vacuum underneath your desk every day. That's only going to happen once a week or once a month. People think that their office space, people who are working there, that it should be
Hmm.
cleaned like their home. Well, that's a maid service, not a
Right.
janitorial service. So I say share all the information, let people know what day when you are going to vacuum underneath someone's desk, you know, map it all out. And then people know what day underneath their desk should have been vacuumed. And when they go to the facility manager and go, hey, it looks like it's been a week since they vacuumed under my desk. The facility manager says, yeah, haven't you looked at the map? Your desk isn't due for another
Right.
2 days. And people don't want to hear that, but that's what I tell people. We can
Yeah.
do anything. So I'll tell you this and then I'll shut up so you can ask me another question. At the beginning of the pandemic,
No, that's fine.
I'm sitting on a conference call with facility managers all over the Louisville market for IFMA, the International Facility Management Association. And we were talking about making sure everything was disinfected. And one of my friends, who shall remain nameless, who's a facility manager, says, Sean, you're in the industry. I want to make sure that my facility is disinfected all the time, 100% of the time. I don't want this bug in my place. What do I do? I said, that's super easy. He's like, really? I go, yeah, I can solve that for you. He goes, how do I do it? Like, how many people do you have in your building? 300. I said, excellent. I will put together a proposal with 300 cleaners that will follow your staff around, and everything they touch, they won't disinfect. And he
Right.
was like, Well, that'll cost a fortune. I was like, well, you didn't say you were concerned about price. You said you wanted
Right.
everything disinfected all the time, 24 hours a day. That's how that is done. And there was silence on this Zoom call as people started processing this. Because when you
yes.
see a cleaner leave a restroom, do you want to know when the restroom is dirty? The minute the next person walks in.
Exactly.
It's dirty.
Or well, and put it on a more personal level. It's like when you go to the grocery store, and if you looked at something and then you cleaned your hands, you're only clean until you pick the next can of soup up to look at the label, right? You've just undone everything you just did. So I think it's a matter of, it sounds like it's a matter of relativity, if that makes sense. What's safety mean? I mean, you can be as safe as you can figure out how to do and still operate in the real world, right? I mean, there's no 100%. There's nothing such thing as being 100% safe, correct? I mean, I don't see how you could be.
No. There is no, unless you're going to hire a janitorial buddy to walk along with every person. That is
and wipe the doorknob when you handle it.
Yeah. Oh, you push the door. Let me wipe it down. It's
exactly.
And so
exactly.
so it's a matter of perceived risk and a matter of allowable risk, or allowable exposure. What are people going to allow in exposure? And pre-pandemic, I think exposure was, and I'll keep it here in the frame of the picture here, that people, they were pretty happy with this level of exposure, and they can only pay so much for cleaning. I think now people's viewpoint of exposure is going to go down to here. They don't want to have any exposure. They don't want anyone to say, "Oh, I got it at work." They don't want to. It's kind of like when INS, Immigration Natural, it's kind of like when the INS goes to a big box store and ends up arresting the floor crew of whatever company is there because they find out they're all illegal. Well, now you're going to have the cleaning police show up, except it's going to be everybody in the building, and they're all going to want it clean. So there's going to be a certain digestion of what, people are going to have to realize that costs money to keep things at a certain level. And what was acceptable before will no longer be acceptable in the future, in my opinion.
So now the management or ownership has got to try to find that happy medium there where there's a cost, but the acceptability by their employees, I should say, to fall into a comfort level of being happy, being there, and getting back into a normal work pattern that they could be comfortable with, right? So, and is that an experimental thing maybe for some people? You start here and okay, that's not working, or how does that play out?
And I think it's different in different parts of the country at this point. I was talking to someone in Illinois today who said that, everything seems normal there. People are going back to work. Yet I know people in the Chicagoland area, since that's where I'm from, they have yet to go back to the office. Here in Louisville, everyone I talk to say that maybe 10 or 15% of the people on any given day are back in the office. There is a target that Humana came out and publicly set in Louisville, that in a meaningful way after Labor Day, or at Labor Day in a meaningful way, their staff will be returning to the office. Nobody knows what that quite means yet. There hasn't been a real explanation about that. But everything that I read, everything that I hear says that we are definitely going to be a hybrid workforce society, that there's going to be a slim group of people that never go to the office, a slim group of people that always go to the office, and most everyone else will go to the office like twice a week, maybe three times a week, or once a week, depending upon their role. Because I think a lot of businesses have discovered they don't need all this office space. So, people are talking about, well, what's that going to do to commercial office space? Well, they'll reinvent themselves. They'll subdivide, and there'll be other businesses that move in, and rents may end up coming down a little bit. I don't know, but it's not like we're going to have huge vacant buildings anywhere.
Right, right. Well, that's interesting. So, um, if you don't mind, let's switch gears for a minute because I
Sure.
want to be mindful of the fact that your live show comes on and you got 30 minutes, so I want to get you out of here for a few minutes early. Um, Litvak Leadership Live.
Yes.
What what spawned that? What it's all about? I love it. I love your show. I love what you bring to the table with it. I try to catch it every time you're on, or at least the replay. But what's that all about? Let's talk about LLL for a minute.
Sure. So I once had um, an immediate supervisor at an organization that I worked for that said, "What do you think you are? Some kind of motivational guy?" And I was like, "Well, I've just got a positive attitude." He's like, "Well, you post the office building next to mine has been completely closed." Yep, exactly.
Wow.
Um,
Yep.
I have always been a very outwardly positive person. If I'm going to be negative, I do it quietly at home in the basement. But I am an outwardly negative, positive person. And with social media, I have posted for years positive statements, encouraging statements, as Eric Bam likes to say, "Go do this" statements, as opposed to personal stuff. But that's another conversation. And
Mhm.
this gentleman said to me, he goes, "Well, if you want to be like a motivational coach, maybe you should find a job doing that." And I kind of swallowed hard. And I was like, "Okay, I understand what you're saying." And in the back of my mind, I thought, you know what? I am going to do that. Obviously, just not right now. And during the pandemic,
Right.
that was the spawn, the beginnings of Litvak leadership, that I realized that I have a lot of, uh, dare I say it, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge in the business world, um, and how to talk to people. And let me tell you, it's not always how to talk to people; it's how not to talk to people. Because I've made as many
Right.
mistakes, if not more, than everyone else. And why do I say more? Because I'm an extrovert. So I make more
Yeah.
mistakes in the human interaction with people. And I
Exactly.
started posting videos. Oh, yeah, and Solomon. We'll talk about Solomon. Um,
Yes. Let's talk
so
about
I
Solomon.
started
Thanks, Wes.
posting videos of me pontificating. And if you go to YouTube, to Litvak Leadership on YouTube, I've got enough subscribers that you can actually go there. You can see the very first group of videos are my interview series, Litvak Leadership Live. And then if you go further down, you'll see the early videos during the beginnings of the pandemic where the beard is thicker. I'm in
Yep.
summer beard season now, so it's thin. Where the beard is thicker, and I'm just pontificating about stuff. You can see before I had lights, and the bright light above my head was shining, and there's like a big dot there. It's so funny to look at these videos. And I was just talking about things. I was talking about attitude. I was talking about expectation. Expectation has been one of those words that I have hung my hat on in my faith walk, because when you go into the Bible and you see the word hope, well, that word hope, most of the time, if it's translated properly from the Greek or the Hebrew, it's actually the word expectation. And it just means
Hmm.
the English language has just harangued it by calling it hope, because hope is I wish I may, I wish I might, right? But
Right.
hope in the Bible is an expectation of things occurring. So that's why one of my hashtags that I've just posted way too often is hashtag expectation. Um, and it's a matter of what is Litvak Leadership Live. So I started posting, and then I saw Eric Bam in our group on Instagram posting his show, and I was like, yeah, I think I could do that. And then I watched it again. I was like, I know I could do that. And truly, the third time, I
Hmm.
was like, okay, once I get over my fear, I'm doing that, and I'll do it better yet.
Yep.
Ego. So on the day
Yep.
after Labor Day last year, I started Litvak Leadership Live every single day at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. So I did
Right.
130 some odd shows, did it almost every day, Monday through Friday. Today, I'm interviewing Eric. Let me see. I think Eric's been on the show more than anyone else. I changed it in March. I took off almost the whole month, the half of March and most of April, and I started again in May. And now I'm doing it weekly at 4 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. If you prefer Twitter, go to Twitter. I'm doing it there as an experiment. And today is show number 142. And I talked to leaders from various businesses, various parts of the country, various parts of the world. I've interviewed people from New Zealand, from Parna, from Taiwan, from Shanghai. It's amazing with the global community that we live in. You can find all kinds of leaders all over the world, and I just sit and pick their brain. And if I don't like what they're saying, I question them hard. If they have a snowflake type of leadership, I got no tolerance for that, so I'll ask people about it. Mm-hmm. And then I have pop-up videos with Solomon, the morning walk with Solomon and Sean, which I have not gotten all those videos together, but I think we're going to start a new series that I'm not going to do the Walks with Solomon live, because I got some new technology that I need to talk to you about, Randy. It's a 3-axis gimbal. I think you have one. And I'm going to start recording my walks with Solomon, but they're going to be janitorial focused. It's going to be the janitorial walk with Solomon and Sean. And Solomon, for those of you who don't know, is my 19 or 20-month-old golden retriever that's 80 pounds, and he's a big boy. Everybody, there you go. There he is. There he is. From Facebook. And he's a big boy, and he's a fun boy. He loves to swim. He runs, and every day I take him for a walk for at least an hour. And that's why I'm so svelte. Awesome. I think I need to up it so I can.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I love the walks with Solomon. It's Sean and Solomon. Those are great, and they're always inspirational. And I've always left everyone with a thought or two, and that's all you can ask for, right? So. Well, good. Well, awesome. So you've got about just enough time to go refill your iced tea, and you're going to be on live. Litvak live. Refill my water. Well, I've been sucking down mine, and I am going to as soon as we're done, I'm going to watch a little bit of your show live from the local watering hole as I go pick up some business lunch for myself and the Dixie chick, which it's a funny game we play because she allows me to pretend that she doesn't know that I have a glass of Cabernet while I'm waiting for lunch, and this is one of those fun things. Yeah, the Dixie chick that we do. But but really seriously, thanks for the friendship over the last 12, 15 months. It's been awesome. You're a true bud, true brother, and. Anything, Wes? You're hanging in the background doing run control. Anything you want? Any last things you want to pop up and say? Hey, anything to Sean before we bump out of here, or are you hiding out? There he is.
Well, first and foremost, I want to let Bruce know that I'm back in the shirt that he said it bothers me. So
I can see right through you. I can see right through you, Wes.
What was that now?
I can see right through you.
No. Well, so no, I don't have anything. I'm going to be catching the Litvak Leadership Live, the Triple L as well. And that's all I have as well.
Awesome.
Good. Well, another great job, Wes. For anybody that doesn't know, Wes Wyatt is a brother friend of Sean and I's in the mastermind group, Megamind, as is Sean's guest today, Eric Bam. But Wes also directs and produces my show, and he dresses Eric and Tim Lord, who popped up earlier with the comments. Their show, The Penalty Box, which is on Thursdays, I think 2:00 live at 2:00 on Thursday. So we're a group of friends that did a lot of. We've just done a lot of good stuff together, and that's just been massively fun.
And there are women in our
Wes.
group. There's Kellen, Coffee Talk with Kellen's Coffee Talk, and then there's Candidly Speaking with Shell and Kel at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Correct. Always fun to listen to.
And I think we've both been on
that, so I can get my hair care.
It is. Well, I was just going to say, Sean, is that I was on that show and did my slight bit of what do I use in my hair thing. I noticed they didn't ask you that.
No, they have not
I'm just
asked me to
saying.
be on the show. And I'm one. I
Right.
mean, I smell good. I wear cologne. I keep my beard trimmed nicely. You would think that at some point they would say, "Hey, Sean, we'd like you to be on Candidly Speaking with Shal and Cal and question me on things." Maybe I bring Mrs. Leadership
Oh, Bruce,
on with.
maybe. So Bruce just corrected us. Coffee Talk and now Ignite Your Wow. Thanks, Bruce.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Hard to keep up.
Ignite your wow.
So,
And then
well, listen,
Pugs
thank
that
you.
wow.
The Pugs at Wow. Exactly. Exactly. Good stuff. And boy, we've developed some great friendship and some great stuff. And seriously, thank you for being on. I appreciate it, my friend. And we'll be seeing each other shortly, like as in probably in an hour. So
Yeah, I appreciate the
we have
invite, Randy. It's you're a gentleman. You're a great interviewer, and you just let me go on and on and on, which frankly, I love. So thank you very much.
Well, that's it. You got brilliant stuff. It was an act of brilliancy. I just made that word up today.
Oh,
anyway, but listen, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
all right.
Make it a
Bye-bye
great
now.
day. All right, buddy. Cheers. There, folks. Sean Litvak. Don't miss him today or catch his replay. Seriously, you'll love his show, and look him up online and follow his Walks with Solomon and anything else he does. So anyway, it's a big shout out to Sean. Another great job by Wes today directing our show. Next week, I have a back to more of the industry business. I've got Jeff Flittering. Jeff has become a friend of mine over the past few months. He's director of sales and marketing at AMS Controls. AMS is a control company in the roll forming industry. We're going to talk everything roll forming, metal roofing, controls, and what's happening on at AMS. So you're going to love that. So don't miss that. Until next week, remember, we only go around once, so live it, love it, and own it. And hey, make today the best day ever. Till tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.